These bone conduction headphones have a secret superpower. They're also hearing aids. Let's check them out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm checking out these. These are the Mearsun MES-E100 bone conduction hearing aids. Now you're looking at that and you're like, those do not look like any hearing aid you've ever seen, but they're bone conduction headphones. So you put it behind your head, you put it over your ears, and as you can see, they sit in front of your ear canal. So they're not on top of your ear, they're not in your ear, they're in front of your ear. And yet they actually enhance and improve the environmental sound around you once you've set them up. And they also are Bluetooth headphones. So you can use these to listen to music, to watch videos on a computer or a TV. A lot of TVs have Bluetooth built in now. You can certainly use them for phone calls or a Zoom call or something. And then when you need to, you can just go right back into hearing aid mode. How cool is that? Now, to get them to work properly, you do have to run a hearing test. And so they have an app, the Mearsun app. I'll show you that in a minute or two. But I wanted to start out by showing you that if you don't want to use a smartphone at all, these will work perfectly fine with no devices. And I think that's really important because a lot of these over-the-counter hearing aids require that you have your smartphone with you. And for some people, really probably for a fair number of people, that's not something they always want to have on their person. So not only is there a hearing aid test in the app, but they actually send you this separate device too. So I'm going to switch it on, and it takes a second to warm up. But what it's going to do is it's actually going to pair with these and then let me run through a hearing test. And as you can see in the close-up, it gives you left and right ear. So those are the two buttons. And then the center part, you can choose the modulation. So there is a sound in the background right now. And as I turn this up, okay, now I can hear it. So the idea is that I'm going to turn it up to where I can just barely hear that, and then push OK, and then go to the next frequency. And so you do this on both your left and your right ear, and then it actually sends that data to this, and it tunes its hearing aid feature. How cool is that? This does require 3 AAA batteries that are included. But I'm going to turn it off because what I want to do is I actually want to have it work with my phone, because I am not one of those people who doesn't want to have my phone anywhere around me. I actually have it with me pretty much all the time. So I should say that these are for mild to moderate hearing loss, and frankly, you can just use them as bone conducting headphones and not even worry about the hearing aid feature. So that's really nice. If you need it, but your partner wants to listen to music or watch a TV show and you don't want to hear it, you can loan them this and they can use it just as headphones. And headphones, there's not really a word for what these are in the industry, but you know, they're not on top of my ear like headphones. They're not in my ear like earbuds. So they're just sort of a different beast. And I will note that on the very top, there's volume control up and down. And then on the right piece, I won't call it an earpiece because it's not on, it's not in your ear, but the right one also has a multi-function button. More importantly, on the bottom, there are 2 little points that you charge with, and it comes with a carrying case, and more importantly, it comes with this charging cable. So this is a custom charging cable from Mearsun. So you basically put this underneath, and there's magnets, so it pops right into place, and then you have USB-A, so you can plug this into your computer or into a little wall charger, whatever. So cable, the headphones, user guide, and a carrying case that's a little peculiar. I find it a little off-putting to have that ear on here. I'm not sure why they chose to do that. I think that's probably because it's like, hey, it's a hearing aid, so we're going to show you an ear. But I would have kind of preferred if it didn't have that, or you had the option of take that off. But honestly, super trivial. Also includes this, but you don't need to carry this with you because this is essentially a use once device, or maybe every so often you might go back and try it again just to make sure that you're keeping up with your hearing. Sadly, lost people rarely get more hearing over time, but they do lose some hearing. Now, in terms of specs and functionality, this is Bluetooth 5.0, and it gives you, like I said, it functions as a hearing aid, but it also gives you the ability to use it for music and phone calls. It is AI powered and AI adaptive, so they say that it'll remove 88% of noise if you're talking to somebody. And it works with multiple channels. It's based on all of these complex sound reduction and voice enhancement algorithms they explain it pretty well on their website if you're curious. But the customized fitting, I'll show you this piece again. The customizable fitting, you can use the app or the device, and you can adjust the frequencies from 500 hertz, which is pretty low, up to 8,000 hertz, which is really, really high. And so you're going to get a sort of waveform of what your hearing's like, just like you would if you had a hearing test. And it will use that to actually say, oh, well, these frequencies, yeah, you got a really hard time with those. So I'm going to boost those up a lot. But at this frequency, your hearing's perfect. So I'm not going to boost that at all. So it compensates, or tries to compensate, for your hearing, which I like. And gives you left-right balance and stuff. In fact, let's just jump into the app. So what I'm going to do is, first off, let's make sure it is paired with Bluetooth, because I did initially have it turned off. I'll tell you, if you pair it with your phone with Bluetooth and you leave it paired and then you turn this on, this will basically just sit there and say, okay, you're Bluetooth paired, so you should be doing your hearing test on the app. But if you turn off Bluetooth, then you can use this, or if you just use this immediately when you pull it out of the box before you've paired it with Bluetooth, then that gives you a good option. And then in terms of in the app, let me go ahead and put these on so I can hear what's happening. So what I hear is just a little bit of audio boost on the treble, on the higher frequencies as you would have with voice. I have almost perfect hearing at this point, thankfully. And so when I ran the test, there really wasn't much for it to do, so it doesn't give me a really big effect. But as you can see in the app here, let me just go ahead and start this recording. And the app doesn't give you much functionality, but it doesn't really need much functionality. So here you can see I've already set it up, and I can adjust the volume. And yes, there are things in Chinese, so that's kind of interesting, but I can adjust the volume of the hearing aid feature, and I can also adjust the left-right. And then if I want to go take that test, I can do the fitting test here in the app. And that's pretty straightforward. I am not going to do that for you. And then finally, you can get into things like if you have multiple devices, and you can go into settings, and there really aren't very many settings because it's a really simple device. And while it's kind of fun to have a device that has 10,000 different features, this also gives you the benefit of it just being really simple. So you don't need to really use the app. As long as this thing pairs Bluetooth with your source device, you're good to go, and there's not much else you need to do. I will also tell you that it's IPX5 waterproof, so if you want to wear these and go for a run, that's fine. If it starts to rain or you get sweaty, that's fine too. It's waterproof, so really nice. And in terms of battery life, then this will run for 14 hours without needing a charge. And when you do need a charge, like I said, you just put this underneath, and then you plug the other end into a USB-A and give it a couple of hours. It has a little tiny light on the bottom, and it will actually show you when it's fully charged. And that's really everything. It's really not that complicated a piece of hardware, but it is really some nice functionality. Now, I do need to set your expectations. So bone conduction, there are like 2 generations of bone conducting devices. And this is a first generation sort of device. So what you're going to get if you listen to music or you use this and watch a show off of Netflix on your tablet or something, is you're going to get predominantly the middle and high frequencies, as you would expect from a hearing aid device. So if you're going to put these on and you think, great, I'm going to go back to my old school EDM, you're going to miss a lot of the bass frequencies. That's just how this generation works. There is a newer second generation of bone conducting devices that give you, weirdly, a lot more bass. It's really pretty interesting. This company has not yet stepped into that second generation, and they probably won't, because a hearing aid doesn't need to give you 100 hertz sounds. It needs to give you 1,000 hertz sounds, because your primary goal with this is to be able to hear people talking. So if you wear this and you are listening to music, your experience is going to be okay. If you wear this and you talk to someone on the phone, it's going to be a remarkable experience. And because it's open ear, it's not in or over your ear, it's much more hygienic. And it's much, much more comfortable. You can wear these open bone conducting sort of devices. You can wear them all day, and honestly, after 5 minutes, you forget you even have them on. And then the phone rings and you start talking to someone, you're like, oh my gosh, I still have this on. That's so amazing. So really an amazing technology, and the fact that they've also been sort of tweaking with the hearing aids features is really pretty smart. So I think these are definitely ones that are worth checking out if you're looking for something and you have mild to moderate hearing loss and you want to just be able to hear a little better. You just want to be able to get a little bit more of the dialogue when you're in a noisy environment and someone's talking to you. These will help. And the fact that you can also then just use them for music or for phone calls or for video. And I tried latency wise, there's no latency. I was watching a video on YouTube that's from my friend, and the audio I heard was exactly synced with his lips. So that was great. That's one of the things you do have to be careful of, because if it's off too much, it's very disconcerting. These do not have that issue at all. So really great multifunction device. They're small, they're lightweight, they're really easy to use. You don't even need to have a phone. You don't even need to have a phone for the initial testing. You can just use the device that they include. How smart is that? So these are definitely ones to check out. Now, I am going to ask you, and I'm going to invite you to subscribe to my channel. Click or tap on that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon for notifications of my new content. And give me a thumbs up if you found this of value, and I certainly hope you did. Great. This is the Mearsun MES-E100 Bone Conduction Hearing Aid, and it is $499.99 at Mearsun.com. It is a bit spendy, but compared to, the kind of hearing aids that you would get by having an audiologist test you and fit them, these are dramatically less expensive. And I love that when you're wearing these, absolutely no one will think that you have hearing aids on. So in terms of discretion, these just look like you're very hip with very modern technology and you're able to listen to music, whatever, but secretly it's also functioning as a hearing aid. And that's a pretty cool design. That's what I got. Hope to catch you in my next video.